Now that you've seen how to set up the Canvas Mastery Gradebook, let's talk about involving students in tracking their own mastery progress too. Have students log on to Canvas and click the Outcomes tab. You might want to give a group of students one category to look at, and then maybe they're going to present what they find to the rest of the class. Maybe you want students to explore this individually and then discuss together what they noticed or observed. Think about how you want students to be exposed to all of these standards. So you could have a preliminary discussion about the different categories and then have them dive in. But I think the best thing to do before talking about mastery is talk about the standards, because that is what the students are trying to achieve mastery of. They tend not to be very familiar with the standards. Typically they're given objectives from teachers, but they don't realize that the objective's purpose is to achieve mastery of a standard. So I would begin here. After this lesson, which could frankly take a whole class period depending on how you want to do it, then what I recommend is you ask students to click on their gradebook. And I've gone into my student view here, so that way you can see what it would look like from their end. So when they click grades, this is what Canvas takes them to. So all of these assignments, and they would have their scores, etc. And you're going to ask them to click on the Learning Mastery tab. That's how they access it from their view. And then you can have a dialogue about, oh, do you notice all those categories we just looked at? You have them here as well. And so now you can have a discussion about the mastery level and the rubric that you have provided them. So I recommend that you actually have graded an assignment, at least one, for every student, so that way you can direct them to looking at that in here. So they actually have some data to look at when they go in. So if you have assessed something for writing, as our previous example, we had formal tone, they can actually come here and see what their score was. Since I'm a sample student, I don't have any of that data to show you, but they would have it, and that would be more meaningful for the students. Now what the next step is to have consideration for how you're going to involve students in taking a part in their role to mastery. So that way it's not just you assessing and saying, here's your mastery level, here's your mastery level, but now you are trying to empower students to use their own Learning Mastery Gradebook because they have access to all of their information. Help them use this as a tool to reflect on achieving mastery. If they are scoring in the developing section for all of these standards, then they know that they need to work on these. So they could have some type of implementation plan for how to improve. They could choose a category or 3 specific standards. I recommend the first time that you have them come in here and look, maybe they could identify a standard that they know they're going to have some trouble with, and just kind of start the process of reflection, because I think that's one of the most powerful ways to utilize this half of the gradebook. We already know students are going to come here to be looking at their numerical values, but what we want to start training them to do is frequently come here to check in with their mastery levels and reflect on how they're doing and how to improve. And the only way that that will happen is if we integrate it into our habitual teaching routines of maybe on a weekly basis. The warm-up is log into your Learning Mastery Gradebook and evaluate your mastery scales. And of course, you can only do this as frequently as you, the teacher, have input data. So keep that in mind in terms of your balance. I hope today's video helped you see how beneficial this Canvas Learning Mastery Gradebook can be for your own classroom. Have students track their own progress towards mastery of their goals, and it helps you get a nice ballpark picture of how your whole class is doing too. Thanks, and we'll see you again soon.